Like, it's like if there were ever going to be a civil war or Texas were going to secede again, that's where it would happen, right? Because like all you need is like one dipshit private or something in one of those two armies to just let a round off, and all of a sudden you have a civil war again. So I don't know,
dude.
Yeah.
If the thumbs are starting a civil war, bro, I'm not involved with this shit at all. If the thumbs want to shoot each other, let them fucking shoot each other.
So that was annoying, or that was just.
We should make that the thumbnail. Just the thumbs.
Just
the Spider-Man meme,
yeah,
but with thumbs.
Welcome back.
What's up, beautiful
Episode
people?
16.
16, 17, 16, 16. I'm losing track.
Starting to lose track. That's a good sign. We're starting to lose track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's a good sign, but it means that we're still going.
Yeah, we're going strong.
Yeah, episode 16. Hey, how's it going, everybody? How we doing?
How you guys
happy
doing?
Thursday. We usually record on a Wednesday. Today's a Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything's just blending in for me, to be honest.
Well, I went to a podcast recording of a podcast I follow last night here in town. It was cool. They did a live
What kind of
show.
podcast?
Stuff you should know.
Oh, that's what it's called?
I
thought you literally said stuff you should know.
No, yeah, the podcast called Stuff You Should Know. They're like, it's like just, I don't know, they just talk about like a random topic for like an hour and just go super deep into it. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are kind of boring because it depends on the topic. But they did one once that like still stuck with me. It's just salt, just like the history of salt from like beginning of time to now. And it's fascinating. It's just, it's a cool podcast.
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of like an audio version of how it's made.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's part of the same like company, I think.
Really?
Our Stuff You Should Know by How Stuff Works. How Stuff
Oh,
Works?
it's a YouTube podcast?
Yeah.
I think it's a YouTube channel from like a while ago.
Yeah, these guys are like, they were doing it for like
Okay.
the early 2000s or something. It's all the same like network or anything or whatever. Yeah, I think they're all kind of, their websites, YouTube, podcasts, it's all part of the same like network or whatever. But anyway, the podcast is cool. I'm not the hugest fan. I haven't listened in a while. I think they're pretty interesting, but my wife is like a really big fan. She bought us tickets, and that was more for her. They have a book. She brought her book, got a book signed. Stood in line to ask him a question at the end. She was very stoked. So it was a whole thing for her.
Very cool.
So that's why we couldn't record on a Wednesday. I said I texted you very ambiguously, hey, I got a commitment on Wednesday. Can we record on Thursday?
I was like, dude, this is about the committed assassination or something.
Now you know that's what it was.
Speaking of tickets, I actually just bought tickets to this year's Comic-Con.
Oh, really?
I have never went.
The real Comic-Con? Like the San Diego Comic-Con?
No, the one here in Seattle.
The Emerald City Comic-Con?
Correct.
Yeah.
I have never been to one. And the only reason I'm going is because Elijah Wood, Sean Astin.
I saw.
They
added those guys late. You know who else is going to be there? And you may not care about this, but the Avatar kids, they were kids then. They're like adults now. All of the voices of The Last Airbender.
Oh, really?
So like Dante Brasco, Mae Whitman. I don't remember Sokka or Aang's, the voice actors, but it's Katara,
I've
Zuko,
seen
Sokka,
interviews
and
with the
Aang.
person who does Sokka.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, they're all going to be there too.
Hey, man, it's worth it.
I was looking.
$140.
Jodie Whittaker's going to be there. I'm a big Doctor Who fan too. Jodie
Yeah.
Whittaker's going to be there. Some Supernatural people are going to be there, which is cool. If you watch the show Supernatural, I was like, damn, I'm just like nerdy enough to like all of those people, but I'm not nerdy enough to pay like $140 for a ticket.
Yeah, well, it's not for a ticket. It's for two. I bought for $140 for two because me and my lady are going.
Right, but that's for one day, right?
For like autographs. And
I know. That's what I was looking at.
But I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fucking nerd, dude.
That's cool.
I love Lord of the Rings, and once my girlfriend told me, she's like, "Hey, they're gonna be in a Comic-Con." I'm like, I don't give a fuck what the price is. We're going.
Yeah.
Like I need to have like an autograph from each one of them because God. Yeah, it's them two, and I don't know why, but like the guy
John Rhys-Davis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I always like it said because he has like a 2-part.
Yeah, John Rhys-Davis, the guy who played Gimli.
Yes.
Gimli, son of Gloin.
Yes.
Yeah. Check. That's cool, man.
We dwarves are natural sprinters, not meant for cross country.
I'm pretty stoked, man. That's gonna be fun for you. Yeah, they keep that like I keep getting like targeted ads on my Instagram feed for Emerald City Comic Con, and it just keeps seeing all the people.
I literally left a comment.
Yeah.
Do we have to have the VIP ticket to get autographs? They're like, no, and I'm like, I'm on my way.
Right, I'm signing up. That's cool, actually. I went so far as to like follow the link and click on tickets, but I'm like, I don't know. I've just been to so many like shows and like podcast stuff, and I have just bought tickets for another concert in March. Alkaline Trio is coming, so I'm a big Alkaline Trio fan, so I'm doing that. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'll probably skip that one just for in honor money.
Dude, I have an entire wall, like this entire back wall here, all Lord of the Rings stuff.
That's cool.
Toys. I have an autograph. I have a picture of Orlando Bloom as Legolas autographed. I have a bunch of shit, bro. I
That's
got
cool.
Pez containers. I got everything.
Okay, so you're like uber Lord of the Rings nerd.
Yes, I love Lord of the Rings.
That's cool.
Yes.
Well, I cut you off before we started recording because you were telling me about how because I'm drinking a Mountain Dew. I know I'm famously.
Blur it.
Is it famously?
Blur it.
At this part, we got to blur it out. I'll
Blur
cover
it.
the Mountain Dew logo. I don't know famously, but I did mention a couple episodes ago, and I have mentioned on more than one occasion that I'm like a tea drinker. After like 10 a.m., I don't drink any more caffeine. But I've just been like absolutely exhausted. I was supposed to set up for you coming over here today, and I just fell asleep. I just shut down. And you texted me here, and I was like, and I was like, oh shit. And I like woke up with my laptop in my hand. Like I went up there to get my laptop. It was on my bed, and I woke up an hour later when you texted me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I did. I anticipated this. I didn't want a coffee, so I was like, I haven't had a Mountain Dew in a long time, so I bought a Mountain Dew.
Bro, I mean, this is how like strong my tolerance is. That like when I think of Mountain Dew, I never think of caffeine. I just think of soda. Because it doesn't like there's
Isn't Mountain Dew like the most caffeinated soda?
Yeah, but there's like almost no caffeine in it, like compared to like what I just took a 400 milligram pre-workout drink right before this, and there's like what maybe 60 to 80 milligrams of caffeine.
How much is in a cup of coffee? Like 150 or something?
No, less than that. I think depending with the size of coffee and how many shots. I think 2 shots of coffee is like 120.
Okay, let's see. How much caffeine is in coffee? 95 milligrams.
Yeah.
In an 8
shot of
ounce cup.
espresso.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of. Because usually like coffee, a cup of coffee in my head is 2 shots of an espresso with milk or whatever.
Okay. How much caffeine is in
a shot of an espresso?
1 shot of espresso is less. It's 64 milligrams. So yeah, 128. You're right.
So yeah, like a regular drink from like a coffee place would be 120.
Yeah.
I took 400, so it's like almost 4 times that.
That's a lot.
So I took like 8.
I googled
7.
how much Mountain Dew is in Mountain Dew. How much? I'm tired. It's gonna be a long fucking night, brother.
How much Mountain Dew?
I literally googled how much Mountain Dew is in, and then I had to delete it.
Is there any actual dew from mountains in Mountain Dew?
When I was a kid, we used to, oh yeah, you're right, 55 milligrams. That's crazy. That's less than a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Well, fuck. I should have just got a coffee.
Yeah. So I basically drink 8 of those.
That's way. That feels like too much caffeine.
In like 5 minutes.
No. Well.
Listen, 400 milligrams. That is too much coffee. I usually take a scoop of pre-workout. That's like 180 milligrams, right?
Is caffeine a pre-workout?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point. It's just to like get you pumped up. But there's also other things.
Sure.
Like beta alanine
and whatnot.
Yeah.
Fish oils.
No fish oils.
Omega-3.
No, it's just things to stimulate your muscle to absorb as much, pump as much blood, like citrulline and stuff like that. Pump as much blood through your veins and into your muscles as possible while you're working out, which will create the largest amount of cell membrane growth.
For gains.
For gains. Exactly. That's what it's for. And caffeine to wake you up.
Okay. Cool, man. Every time you start talking about working out, I learn so much because it's not what I do. I have no science, biological, or like medical background, and I don't work out.
Have you ever had beta alanine?
Nothing. I don't know that word.
Beta alanine is a supplement they put in a lot of energy drinks. Christy Alley?
The actress. What did you say?
Beta alanine.
Nope.
Yeah, it's like a substance that has in all pre-workouts.
Beta Ray Bill.
And
Beta Ray Bill, the Marvel character?
No.
Okay.
But dude, it you'll know it when it hits you. You just start tingling all over your arms, your head. You get itchy, like
Captain America's serum,
yes.
Super Secret Soldier serum.
Exactly.
Okay. See, I can only relate to pop culture. That's how I see the world.
Good God, what kind of commie are you?
Yeah, I don't know. The one who watches too many movies and TV
pop
shows.
Commie.
Pop commie.
Dude, I like that.
The Pop Comic podcast. That sounds good.
The Pop Comic. Ooh.
Okay, hold on.
I have to change your name.
I have to start a second channel where we just talk about actually there is a podcast called Left of the Projector, and they like look at like movies through like a Marxist lens.
There's another person. Was it a Saint? Somebody saying that the program just had him on. I'm
like 2 episodes behind. I'm listening to the Cuban Missile the Cuban Missile Crisis episode.
It's the one right after that.
Oh, okay. I'm like a couple episodes
behind. And he does
behind
the same
right
exact thing.
That's cool.
What's it called? He looks at the films and
through
movies and everything through a left
that's cool. Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because like there's a lot of criticism for like Marvel in particular for essentially just being like CIA and like U.S. Army propaganda like recruiting tools.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty heavily. Not even like to a meme extent, like to an actual extent. Like remember when Captain Marvel came out, there were Air Force recruiters at every movie theater. Like, so all the teenage boys were coming out of Captain Marvel because it was the next Marvel movie, and they would be running into these U.S. Air Force booths, recruiter booths in the AMC and like Century Theaters, or whatever. Because like Captain
Wow.
Marvel was made in partnership with the U.S. Air Force because she was a U.S. Air Force pilot in the movie, and so it was like
insane.
it
I
was
didn't
a
know
straight up
that. I
partnership.
didn't know
No,
that.
it's like it's not like a meme to say that they're like that Marvel is in bed with like the State Department. They're actually in bed with like
Because they literally did
Yeah.
deals with the
they're
fucking
like they,
army.
100%.
That's insane.
But
That's-
that's not just specific to Marvel. That's true of all Hollywood productions. Like I guess like the Pentagon and like the Defense Department and State Department has like a huge Hollywood budget, and they like if there's like a tank or like whatever in a movie,
they have
those
to,
are like leased through the Pentagon.
yeah, because there's no way to actually getting a fucking tank,
so
but
like,
legally even.
Yeah, so like in most movies, I should actually like look up the details of this because I'm not sure like of like the whole spectrum of it.
Yeah.
But like if there's like U.S. military kind of like assets in a movie for whatever the good or ill or whatever the movie is, like those are like negotiated through and like it's like on loan from like the U.S. military. So like it's very much like
So they kind of
yeah.
have to be like, all right, well, if you're gonna you can't make this movie without us, but here's the
Yeah.
thing, we'll give it to you, but here's the deal.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
So that's why like
fucking bitches.
U.S. military is very heavily like
Man.
glamorized in most Hollywood productions for that reason, I think. Also, did you know that Apple, this is like a spoiler for every movie going forward, Apple doesn't allow its phones to be used in movies by villains. So like and this is a spoiler for if you're familiar with Knives Out, the movie. Everyone in that movie you haven't seen Knives Out?
I don't think so. No. I've never even heard of
I
it.
don't know if I want to spoil it because it's great, man.
Don't spoil it. Then.
I'm not gonna spoil it. Okay, damn. I'm not gonna spoil it. But like when you watch a movie, look at their phones they use.
Oh, I always look at the phones, and it's instead of an apple, it's like a pear.
Yeah, well,
Or it's just a circle.
If anyone in that movie has like if you're watching like a horror movie and you're looking for the killer or whatever, look whoever has an Android because everyone will have an iPhone except for one. Whoever has the Android.
Hey man, that is
Yeah, there's like a bunch of like rules like that. So that there's I don't like.
Oh, you know those.
For those of you who have seen Knives Out, rewatch it and look at their phones, and you'll like the first scene, you'll know who the killer is.
I feel like just watch any like like NCIS or anything like that that's like newer, and you could sit there with somebody like that's the killer. It's like, how the fuck do you know? I'm like, just trust me, it's the killer. You look like some kind of like psychedelic foresight being, where you can see into the future. It's like he guesses it right every time. You're over here just look at their phone.
Yeah, it's because it's just there are deals that these people don't want their product placed. You know, the product placement in movies. They don't want them like look.
What a dystopian future.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, sorry, Lacking Saint was the name.
Lacking Saint.
Lacking
that's
Saint.
the name of the content creator. Okay, cool.
Yes, just want to shout out.
To back it up, like 3 conversations ago, we were talking about we didn't want to give PepsiCo any money, and you were mentioning how like those brands own everything, and like there's like I don't know. Why don't you go on with what you were saying because you were talking about how like PepsiCo and Coca-Cola Corporation.
Yeah,
between the two of them own like everything.
I watched a video on YouTube last night about like what they own, like it's comparing them merchandise wise and like the history of their competition, and holy fuck, it's like on another level. It's I thought like, oh yeah, they own a bunch of drinks, blah blah. No, they own franchises. Like Pepsi wanted to install their drink at Taco Bell and other franchises, but those franchises didn't want their product, so they just bought the franchise just to place their fucking drinks.
Yeah, this was just on like a podcast or I just learned about this. It was something where like Coca-Cola wasn't being served in a restaurant or whatever, so they just bought the restaurant chain.
Yeah.
Just as a vehicle to sell drinks.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if we could zoom in here.
Yeah, it's hard, but like this is we can put this on the screen.
Quaker Oats, Lay's chips. So any like fucking chips, Tostitos. God, I can't see because it's like.
Yeah, I can't really because it's not a clickable.
Yeah.
I just found this on image, so it's not something I can zoom in on.
So any type of chips you can really think of, Pepsi owns them, and then we do. Then there's like Quaker Oats. Then they own Taco Bell. They own.
Oh, here we go. So what we're referring to, for those of you like just listening to the audio version, there's this chart that has like the 10 companies that literally own everything. So it's Coca-Cola,
food-wise,
Nestle, BF Food, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Pepsi, General Mills, Kellogg's, Associated British Foods, Mendoles International, Mars,
formerly Kraft Foods,
Mars, Danone, and Unilever. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 brands own like what is essentially like every single freaking
But let me just point out, like just the drinks that PepsiCo owns. They own Pepsi. They own Mug. They own Mountain Dew, Amp, 7-Up, Gatorade, Tropicana, Luza, Copella, Ocean Spray, Aquafina, what is that? Citrus something, Izzy, Sierra Mist. I mean, do they own Brisk, Sobe, any type of
actually Coca-Cola's kind of like
slacking
in the soda game.
So apparently Coca-Cola is making more money off of their drinks, but PepsiCo owns more food. So because they own Quaker Oats, they own all the cereals pretty much. Not all the cereals, but a vast majority of different types of cereals like Life and Captain Crunch and.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of bring this up because it's just I don't know. I thought specifically as you mentioned that I thought of this image. I've seen this image before, and I'm just like, yeah, this is actually nutty. I'll save this and just drop it.
Yeah.
We can drop it on the screen here.
Yeah. But
yeah. So
I do want to point out real quick before you say anything that if you look at the owners, the shareholder owners for who owns these companies, the mass amounts of stocks that they own every single parts of these companies. So the same person who owns
so you're saying like somebody on the board of directors of like Nestle is also on the board of directors of like PepsiCo?
Yes. So
that should be illegal.
Well, so what happens is PepsiCo
that is illegal.
PepsiCo owns 20% of Unilever, and then Unilever owns 20% of Pepsi, and that way the same people that own each one own each other. It's not the individual person that owns stock in all of them.
Yeah.
It's the companies own stock in each other. And so they're all tied with each other. And so they're basically creating like an oligarchy and oligopoly that is basically one large company that owns all of the companies together.
That's insane.
So,
yeah, that means that all of their kind of fortunes and shares are all tied to each other.
Exactly. So if one goes up, the other one goes up.
Yeah.
Those people that own major amounts of stocks are going to make money regardless of who's making money.
Yeah. That's pretty sketchy and awful. That kind of reminds me, that's what Elon Musk did with Twitter, didn't he buy Twitter with Tesla shares? Or he like leveraged Tesla stock as like the means to buy Twitter? Because nobody just has $45 billion, right, or $44 billion. Like, that's how much.
Yeah, you have to.
It's not a real. That's not a real amount. He doesn't have $44 billion in his bank account. So he used like shares and the worth and like leverage of Tesla as a corporation and I think some others to like buy, quote unquote, buy Twitter with. So their futures are entwined, and I think that's been the best part about Twitter. Just the stock price of Twitter falling is that as it does,
so does
Tesla is also going out bankrupt.
Exactly.
Which I just find so fun.
Exactly. But you have to like imagine it is like, okay, if here's Ford, here's Honda, here's all these different types of cars, car companies. Basically, all the car companies have vested interest in each other.
Yeah.
Volkswagen owns half a Porsche. Porsche owns half a Volkswagen. So
it's insane.
If you're gonna, doesn't matter if you don't buy a Porsche, you buy Volkswagen. Money will still go from Volkswagen to Porsche, and vice versa.
Yeah, that's literally just a monopoly. That's just like it's just a monopoly, but with more logos. They paid designers for like 6 different logos, but it's still one company.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, it shouldn't, but I mean, the same companies are literally bribing politicians to pass laws in favor of what they need. Anyways, we should probably get to the news here.
Yeah, well, I tried to pull it up there, but that's too far away for me to see anything. So
I'm gonna
pull
it
up on my phone. Yeah, so if you're watching, I am looking at my phone, but if you're not watching, then you would never know.
Well,
first up,
they would because you told them.
Well, fair enough. We'll cut that out. I'm not cutting shit out. The first bit of news we have is kind of what's pressing on everyone's mind is the New Hampshire primary results. I don't know if it's on everyone's mind. I don't know if anybody really gives a shit. I honestly thought Nikki Haley was going to win, dude. I had the feeling that Nikki Haley might win, but no, it was close. She won. Trump won with 54%. Haley with 43, so just about a 10-point loss for Nikki Haley. That was it. That was what she really needed to kind of.
In my mind, I didn't think anybody's going to win any state besides Trump. I think
I know
every single state.
I got caught up in a lot of like theoretical, like electoral kind of like polling data that I went down a rabbit hole of, and I was like, I got a little too like agent like I was like, oh, I'm a savvy political pollster guy, and I was like reading all these polls, and I was like, that was it. Like there is a way for Nikki Haley to potentially win New Hampshire, and it just didn't happen. But she did not quit. She's like, you know what? There's still more states.
It's a
basically.
fool's hole. But here's the thing:
Yeah.
DeSantis dropped out.
Yeah, DeSantis dropped out.
Now that's big news, but nobody gives a fuck.
After Iowa.
Yeah. But you have to remember is the only reason she's in there, she knows she's gonna lose. Like, let's fucking be honest here. She's gonna just get destroyed. She was really hoping for that first state where she might have won, maybe skewed the election slightly, but she's not gonna win. I think the goal might be he's like, hey man, this guy is not healthy. He might just fucking die. He might go to jail and not be able to.
Yeah.
And so I would be basically the default choice because DeSantis dropped. Who else is going to be?
You know, that's not a bad
Vivek,
gambit.
a little Schwarmy, dropped.
Yeah.
And so what? Fuck it. Why not?
It's not a bad strategy, right? I mean, like if you're playing kind of the long game, you're playing for Trump to die. That's not. You know, it's kind of long odds. Well, it's not long. Long
he's like
odds.
80.
Yeah, and
he's like 80 and drinks like 12 Diet Cokes a day.
Yeah, and like his court cases apparently aren't going well. One of his people, one of his inside guys, or one of his lawyers was just sentenced to 4 months in prison for not complying with a subpoena. This happened like today, I think. You know, that's the thing is people around Trump have just like been going to prison left and right for like years, right? Like Roger Stone and Manafort and the other guy back in the day. His whole team was going to, all of his lawyers, all of his campaign advisors, everyone around him was just dropping like flies going to prison, and he was Teflon Don, and that's still happening. Like somebody else in his inner circle just got sentenced to prison like today or yesterday, and so far, yeah. So like to your point, that's not a bad idea if that's her real strategy. And to that end, she is the next state on the list. The next primary state is her governor. The state where she
but
was
I've already seen polling what's even worse than New
Trump
Hampshire.
is still like, well, that's always so embarrassing for candidates, right? When they can't win in like their home state or the state they were governor in or whatever.
They knew they were never going to win.
Yeah,
I
mean, for this one, yeah.
This is optics, man. Once Haley drops out, eventually she will. Once she drops out, she might get a position. I mean, as much as shit that she talks.
I don't know,
about Trump.
I think Trump hates her. It's all bullshit. Yeah,
it's all bullshit. It's all talk, man. The same thing happened with like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. You know, Hillary Clinton was I forgot what the exact thing that she was talking about, but she's basically talking shit about Barack Obama. And when she drops out, Barack Obama puts her as Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And so after talking shit, he still put her as Secretary of State.
Yeah,
and that's our first.
But like
red
people
flag.
like Democratic candidates, and not to like praise Democratic candidates, but no one's as petty as Trump, right? Like Trump is like a vindictive, petty asshole.
Yeah, but Trump doesn't. I don't think Trump runs the actual like.
Yeah, the
campaign. He's a figurehead.
Just out there talking. Yeah, and like his campaign advisors and stuff would be
loves
like
the attention.
Yeah. Well, speaking of South Carolina, and like you said, the polling in South Carolina has just like New Hampshire was the only shot. That was Haley's only shot to take a state. She was only 10 points behind him. Oh well, she tried. She lost. The polling in her own home state or her own governor state of South Carolina, she's losing 63 Trump, 29 Haley. So pretty handy defeat to Nikki Haley. That'll be this next Tuesday. And then I think. I don't remember if there's any other states that vote alongside South Carolina, but that'll be the first Democratic primary, right? Because remember, New Hampshire, Iowa caucus was Republican only. New Hampshire, the Democrats weren't on the ballot, or Biden wasn't on the ballot, excuse me. But even though Biden wasn't on the ballot, he still won as a write-in with 64%.
I call bullshit.
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
Who the
fuck is writing in Biden? Who the fuck is going to the polls and be like, if I don't vote for him here, he's never gonna win
I don't know.
the fucking Democratic primary? You know people who do write-ins? People who do write-ins are people who are disenfranchised, who don't have a candidate that they like.
I don't know, man.
Like,
there's a lot of blue no matter who people. There's a lot of people that are super
but
proud and stoked of Biden.
64%?
I think that 19% for Dean Phillips. If Biden were on the ballot, that would have been like a single digit candidate. I think that 19% in Dean Phillips is not his home state, a random state like New Hampshire, to get almost 20% of the vote. Like, I think that shows.
But nobody likes Biden anymore. Like, I mean,
people like Biden.
People like Biden, but not to the extent as.
Also, this isn't a general. I mean, this is a Democratic primary. So of 64% of Democrats, yeah, that sounds right.
But as a write-in, you really think that many people wrote in? Like the vast majority of people that voted wrote physical name.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
I personally don't believe it. Like I get it, like it could happen, but like there's something fishy about that. Mark my words.
Yeah,
There's something fishy about it.
maybe, but also it's. I mean,
doesn't matter.
it was
He's
going to
gonna
be
win
Biden
anyways.
regardless. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah, Dean Phillips got a little over 19%, and Marianne Williamson was next up with 4%, and there were just a ton of people after that with 4%.
I do respect Williamson for like actually sticking it out.
Sticking it out, man.
Not fucking.
Year after year or election after election, she's just always there.
I think it's only her second election. I think her last election she was.
Yeah, she was in
the first
2016 too, wasn't she?
one. I don't think so.
She
was
ran against
2020.
Trump. Only 2020? I
Okay.
thought she was there in the open.
Maybe
when it was
she
an open Democratic field in 2016 when Trump won. I
I'm not
thought she was
sure.
there. I don't remember.
I can't remember
Yeah.
either. You might be right. It might be right.
But I might be wrong too. So.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, they're like a crystal mommy pushing through.
Yeah, we will persevere. That's really all I had to say about that. South Carolina is up next. I didn't even really look in to see what other states are up next because again, I don't know.
With the
Who
20%
really
of states, 10% of states closing their fucking Democratic primaries.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah,
point?
that's the thing. I was looking for Garcia and De La Cruz on the New Hampshire list of candidates, and they weren't on it. Yeah,
They
as
had
far
to
as I
write
could
them
tell,
in.
they weren't. Yeah, they weren't even on like. I was scrolling like on Google's like election result page. There was like 40 fucking candidates on there of like got like 4 votes each, whatever, and on the Democratic ballot, and I couldn't find. I mean, I didn't really look that hard. I only scrolled down so far, but like De La Cruz and Karina Garcia weren't there. I assume they just weren't on the ballot.
Well, that's just the Democratic Party ballot.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I guess yeah, that was. That's
so I would.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's just because there is no independent ballot, right?
Yeah, there's no independent ballot. I mean, we do. Actually, no. We've already chosen the candidates for the PSL.
Yeah.
Right. They've already chose their candidates.
Yes, but they wouldn't have their own.
Well, what's the point? They're
I
so
guess,
small.
yeah.
They're so small. They need
a
unity
good
right
point.
now. Out of all things.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on election news? That's all I have this week. Is just.
No, I think we'll just keep talking about it as it comes out.
Yeah, I think every week we record on Wednesday or Thursday, and the elections are always on a Tuesday, so I always just have a quick update just to kind of.
That's
keep
nice.
people
Yeah,
going
we'll
on.
have quick updates.
And so far, nothing surprising has happened, but maybe Trump will just shit himself to death on one of these, and then something interesting will happen.
Maybe this is an assassination because they really want him out now.
Yeah, maybe Biden will shit himself to death too.
Maybe I hope both of them just shit
Yeah.
themselves to death.
Yeah.
Don't ban us, YouTube. I'm just talking theoretical, okay?
Next up, we got some Texas border drama. This is an interesting one. This was this was not on my radar. I just found it on Instagram, and I saw some news posted it on Instagram, and then
I just watched a video about it today.
yeah, and that's why I dug into it a little bit, and I was like, huh, that's pretty interesting. So I guess Supreme Court on Monday of this week voted in favor 5-4 of a federal. They sided with Biden's federal agency and the Border Patrol specifically against a lawsuit that the state of Texas, had filed against the federal government. Because the Border Patrol and the federal government was cutting razor wire that Texas officials and Greg Abbott in Texas had been putting up razor wire along the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas to keep migrants as they cross the Rio Grande from being able to climb a fence by putting razor wire. And apparently there's also been a lot of shady treatment. There was rumors, I guess, or like unconfirmed reports of people saying that the policy of the state police and the Texas officials, the local Texas government, the local Texas like law enforcement, their policy is to like push migrants back into the water once they've kind of like struggled up the embankment. I guess they push them back in, and there have been 3 drowned bodies that have found so far this month. That's unconfirmed. That was just some report of like somebody said like, yeah, that's just like a whistleblower or something. But I absolutely believe that cops are awful.
They've done worse.
Yeah, and they do way worse. On a daily basis. So I can't imagine that just pushing migrants back into water is, something that they would be above. But anyway, so the Border Patrol was cutting the wire off the fences to administer aid. I guess that was like the point. They were cutting the wire so they could like administer aid to these people, like get them over and help them, because if they're drowning or whatever. Because that's like they have a duty to help if their lives are in danger.
Yeah.
Well, so the Texas government sued, and I may have some of the timeline of this wrong. I just learned about this today. So the Texas government sued the federal government to stop the wire cutting, and that Texas has the right to kind of defend its own stretch of that border, right? So that's a whole other conversation about states' rights versus the federal. So then that court made it that case made it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court actually sided, surprisingly, because it's a conservative court. They sided with Biden and the Border Patrol. Barely 5-4, but Amy Coney, because the Supreme Court is split 6-3 in favor of conservatives. I think it was John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, both conservative justices, sided with the 3 liberals to make it 5-4. And so Greg Abbott and Texas is now just refusing to comply with the Supreme Court order. They have put the Texas National Guard at the border and are blocking Border Patrol troops from going in to cut the wire. And now there's like this armed standoff in Texas that's been going on for like 4 days now.
But how the fuck does that even work? The Texas National Guard, but
because the Texas National Guard it's under the state government. So
but how's that a National Guard?
Well, it's I don't know. It's just
that's what I'm saying.
There's the federal National Guard and there's the state National Guard.
Yeah, but what right do they have? They don't have right to the border is federal jurisdiction. So that's why when you go across border control.
Well, that's why the Supreme Court ordered with them. I think in the end that was their like original argument. And
but the argument here from the Supreme Court is also, it's not that they have to take the wirings down. They could leave that up. It's just that if there is a life in danger, they have the right to cut the wire to get and save the person.
Yeah.
That's as far as they went.
Yeah.
I just think that's like, oh, somebody's starving, you're allowed to give them a Tic Tac. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, this is...
obviously there's a whole other conversation we had about like the border in general. And again, I want to make it clear, I'm not like in favor of our Customs and Border Patrol like as an agency, but if they're trying to administer aid or whatever, great, whatever. But it's just what the bigger point of the story is now is that Texas now has like armed guards denying entry to the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol is like, and now there's like an armed standoff between two agencies. Democratic governors
looking at each other.
Yeah,
we gotta get that Spider-Man meme with the thumb with their thumbs.
So like Democratic governors and Democrats are in federal and state are saying like Biden should just nationalize the National Guard in Texas so that he would just control the National Guard. So Biden could essentially just like take control of that, were he to nationalize it, because currently they're under the governor's purview.
Yeah.
Republican governors are siding with Abbott and saying that like Biden is failing to protect our borders, so they're doing what they got to do, like drastic times call for drastic measures. And so a bunch of Republican governors, I think like Louisiana, Oklahoma, whoever.
But what happened to what happened to Jesus Christ, the Supreme Court and like the law of the land? What happened to the main fucking articles of law that we have, where it's just like, hey, I believe in this and this, and I believe in that. I'm just like, the hypocrisy is absolutely crazy. Whereas like they say one thing like, oh, I believe in the Constitution, and then when it comes to the laws of the Constitution, they're like, no, state laws. I'm like, choose one, dumbass.
That's never been a new thing, right? Fascism is like, that's why it's so hard to define fascism, right? It's because it's a go with the flow.
Their hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's just a go with the flow ideology. So like, that's why your enemy can be both strong and weak and right and wrong or whatever you need them to be. And so at this point, it's like, they've never really believed in the Constitution. They'll say they believe in the Constitution and law and order.
You got to call them out on that.
I agree, but but Democrats won't, right? Like Biden's not going to do shit about this. Like, Democrats are spineless. And that's always the thing, is like, that's the whole point of like the law and order party, right? Republicans are the law and order party. Like that was their whole deal. It's like, if you're the law and order party, why is the champion of your party, Donald Trump, has 90 fucking indictments in like 4 states currently pending? So like, how is that the law and order party? It's not. It's just a party of hypocrisy. But like, Republican voters they don't have enough brain cells to put that together. Yeah. So like, whatever.
But also, there's no order either, because they're fucking basically anarcho-capitalists for the most part. And so it's just like, order. Where's the order? You're like literally like letting everything loose. You're like, the economy, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
No rules, baby.
So I don't know. I just thought that story was interesting, and hopefully, not hopefully, but like, it's like, if there were ever going to be a civil war or Texas were going to secede again, that's where it would happen, right? Because like, all you need is like one dipshit private or something in one of those two armies to just let a round off, and all of a sudden you have a civil war again. So I don't know,
dude. If the thumbs are starting a civil war, bro, I'm not involved with this shit at all. If the thumbs want to shoot each other, let them fucking shoot each other.
So that was annoying, or that was just
we should make that the thumbnail, just the thumbs, the Spider-Man meme, but with thumbs.
I don't know what else we got. Some other stuff we could talk about. I had some notes about this government shutdown, but I scrapped it because it's ultimately it's boring, and maybe we'll come back to it later. I did. So I was talking about when I was mentioning the Biden saying like the mess with the hefa, you're gonna get the hefa. I found that clip. So this is all it is. I'll play it, but we can add it later.
Mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
What? I don't know.
And then everybody's cheering. Like,
that was the caption of the video. It was like, don't know who I'm more embarrassed for, Biden or the people cheering for that.
Oh, this is America, you get the benefit.
So That may not have come through on the audio, so we'll put that up here too. But I just thought that was so fucking funny. And then there's another. I know. Do you want to talk about Biden and the Houthis real quick?
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, here we can pull this up.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's pull up.
So, so this is this is the video. It's Biden being interviewed by, I believe, it's being interviewed by a reporter from the Guardian. It's on the Guardian's website. Let me play this. And
Make sure the captions are on.
Yeah, they are. So there's three takeaways from this video that I want to address. So here we go.
Strikes in Yemen are working. Well, when you say working, are they stopping the Houthis? No. Are they going to continue? Yes.
How concerned are you with the Arab American votes during this election? And what Iowa means to you, to your re-election race?
Well, I don't think Iowa means anything. The president got 50-some thousand votes, the lowest number of votes anybody's won got. You know, this idea that it's been a runaway, he can characterize any way he wants. Let him make that judgment. What was the second part of the question?
The part was, are you concerned with the Arab American votes voting for you during this election because of Gaza? Many say they will not vote for you.
Well, look, the former president wants to put a ban on Arabs coming into the country. We'll make sure we understand who cares about the Arab population, number one. What? Number two, we got a long way to go in terms of setting in a situation.
The fuck did he just say, dude? Dude, what the hell did he just say?
So they're kind of like three things there, right? Like,
I didn't see a single thing. He literally just.
Well, so the one
the
one awful thing is like ask point blank, like, you know, is the bombing of the Houthis ships in the, you know, off the Yemeni bombings, is that working? His point blank answer is it working? No. Will we continue? Yes. So like
then
like what? Like there's so much to say about that, and like I know we're like a week late on this, and this clip has been circulating for like, I don't know, 5 days now or something. So we're kind of late to the game on this, but I really just wanted to highlight that because it's just so indicative and just so like exemplary of like the Biden policy, the Biden presidential, like the Biden presidency, and just kind of like modern politics as a whole of like not really having a clear goal, not really understanding what winning or losing looks like, but just going for it anyway, like a dog with a bone, like, you know, or a dog chasing a car, right? Like the whole, like, you don't, you know, they like, what would they do if they actually catch it? So like they're just bombing one of the poorest countries on earth just for the sake of bombing the poorest.
Here's the thing. I kind of disagree because I think they know what they're doing. They know it's not going to stop them, but this is a great opportunity to help Saudi Arabia out by bombing the living fuck out of them. So when this is all said and done, Saudi Arabia has an easier time to actually taking over.
Like going in and cleaning up,
they've been at war with the Houthis for half a decade now, 7-8 years now.
I guess that's fair. There are other like geopolitical kind of like
I think
chess moves at play, but as for America's part, it just seems so arbitrary. And
also,
just,
with more bombing, we have to buy more weapons, and that increases the profits of, you know, the military industrial complex. So for them, there's no negative. We're not losing any soldiers. Sure. We're not sending anybody. We're practicing our bombs. You know,
100%. And you can see that like blasé kind of attitude in his answers. Like, is it working? No. Are we gonna stop? No. It's like we have nothing to lose. Like there's no negative downside for us.
Yeah.
So I just think that there's just something like sinister in like how little he kind of gives a shit about that. It just seems like 100%. that one set with me, where I was just like, that did not sit well with me. And then the other part of that just kind of speaks to Biden's just like, you know, incoherence is just like, there was two questions. One was like, how do you feel about Arab American voters like turning on you in the wake of like the Palestinian struggle?
Yeah.
And he said something about like the former president, you know, he wants to ban Muslims. And it's just like, what? That wasn't what she asked, first of all. And then she also had something about Iowa. And I guess to his credit,
well, she repeated herself, and she said clearly, she's like, how do you think it will affect people saying they won't vote for you because of what's going on in Palestine?
I don't know. He just seems so fucking lost all the time. But the other part is like, Iowa doesn't mean anything to me, and it's like that's not what she's asking you. She's not like, because like I think the way he took that was like the Iowa caucuses of last week is like a Republican event, and like. He was like, "Oh, they don't mean anything to me."
I don't care. That doesn't mean anything.
It's like, well,
that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about, dude.
How
like,
the fuck did you get that out of that?
American or Arab American votes that, like, Arab Americans have like lost all support for, or Biden has lost all support from Arab Americans.
Muslim Americans in
a large part, just Muslim Americans in general.
It's like 3% of the population almost.
Have just completely like turned on him, and he just seems to not only not recognize that or not care, but just also like just not understand that that's happened. And I think it just goes to once again just kind of illustrates how detached from reality he is, how incoherent he is, and maybe he has political advisors that know this. I mean, like, to be fair, Biden isn't the one running Biden's campaign, right? There's
No,
it's
he's
a
fucking
massive
lost.
corporation, or it's a massive, like, all of these companies and different, like, PR firms and all of this giant machine that actually runs a national campaign like that. Surely someone somewhere has to, like, see the poll numbers. I don't know. I don't know.
I think Israel itself, the country of Israel, the fucking fake ass country of Israel, has such a hold on American politics through lobbying and through manipulation that I just don't think that it kind of overpowers any sensible reality. Even if it is causing them to lose like the election, they have such a stranglehold on American politicians that it doesn't matter to them. They have to kind of.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I also think probably at some point somewhere they did the math and thinking that, like, you're gonna lose 3% of Arab Americans or Muslim Americans by supporting Israel. You'd lose like 20% of, like, just blue no matter who Democrats by supporting Palestine, right?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the gamble they made is like, well, if you somebody somewhere considered probably like the optics of supporting Palestine,
Yeah.
or turning against Israel, and I imagine that would just be like that would be too big of a hit, I think, for them.
Oh, this is too big of a hit for
Yeah.
them. Period.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He-
there's no way out.
He was barely losing to Trump, but now he's
now,
like
yeah,
down
this
another
absolutely
5%.
sealed the fate, I would imagine, of his campaign. I think the poll numbers are pretty much showing that. We were looking at 538 polling with me and my students actually a couple days ago. One of them had a question about, like, the election. For what it's worth, the freshmen are actually pretty curious sometimes,
Yeah.
so they can be, some of them.
It's Jover. Just telling me that.
And then we were looking at, like, polling numbers, and they were like, Jesus, because he's like down, like, 46 to 40% or whatever. Like some of the different polls are. He's down a considerable margin.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're still a year or 11
I think
months
they're
out.
hoping it'll calm down. It'll come back up. It was just a little spike.
Yeah,
because it happens all the time.
The American electorate is fickle, right? Like, the election is 11 months away or 10 months away at this point, right? Like, Gaza could be, or the Palestinian struggle could be over and done with. We could be 2 crises deep by that point, right? There could be a whole other war. I mean, there's so much that can happen between now and then that the thing in Israel, Palestine could wrap up, could be in the rearview mirror, and, like, the American electorate is fickle and they have a really short memory.
It's
so,
a
like,
short-term
yeah,
attention
he
span.
could get those votes back. Again, not that I'm, like, advocating for that, but I'm just saying that, like,
But that's why we have to carry on. And
it is, yeah, and keep the progress and keep the attention on how he's just not a viable choice. Of Genocide Joe is just not for me.
It's never
Or-
stop. Like,
yeah.
it just keep wailing.
Yeah, like, it's
Free
important. It's
Palestine.
important to make sure he doesn't
Because
win.
it's
for
not
lack of a
only
better
like
term.
they will never go to the Hague because of this. They will never get in trouble. They will never face consequences. But we can't have them. We can't let them have the opportunity, the satisfaction of when this sort of calms down to bring back up those voting numbers for Joe Biden.
Yep.
We can't let them he does not deserve it. They don't deserve it.
This is actually a perfect segue to talk into our final kind of topic, which is something we get on a lot of our TikToks and YouTube Shorts comments we get. Because what we're talking about essentially right now is, like, making sure Biden loses, right? And, like, or at least not voting for Biden, voting for De La Cruz and Garcia, if that's your thing, right?
Yeah.
Which we support. Voting for Cornel West, if that's your thing.
Fucking Merriam Williamson.
Go if you really like salt lamps, whatever those things are, and crystals. Sure, go vote for Merriam. Not to, like, talk shit on people that like crystals and salt lamps or whatever.
Yeah, no.
But
We're just fucking around.
which we're fucking around. Vote for Merriam Williamson, whatever. Like, I mean, Biden is a genocide funding, genocide supporting megalomaniac, and, like, he is not fit for office, and there's no part of me that will ever vote for him. And we make comments like that, and we get a lot of we post a lot of these clips to YouTube Shorts and YouTube, or to TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and we make. A lot of these are about electoral politics and voting and how we're not Biden supporters, and we're not Democrat supporters in general. We're not Democrats. And we always inevitably get a lot of comments on those of, like, oh, what a surprise, 2 white guys saying don't vote for Biden. Like, it's easy for you to say as white men to, like, not vote for Biden, or, like, to not vote or whatever. And it's always the same comment of, like, that's a privilege to not vote, it's a privilege to not vote, it's a privilege to not vote, or whatever. And it's just like, I'm so tired of that argument. And that's what, like, I guess we're here to talk about, is kind of our final talking point, is, like, voting is not a race issue for well, voting can be a race issue. Voting is a social issue, but you can't shame somebody for not voting for your candidate if your candidate is harming people, especially people of color, right? So how can like you say it's a white people can't support, but white people can't not support Biden when Biden himself is not supporting any people of color? He is bombing people of color, or not only bombing but the genocide, supporting a genocide. Think of the word genocide. He's supporting a genocide. So how can you then, in all seriousness, with a straight face, say that it's white people can't not support Biden when Biden is murdering people of color?
I think this is a whole Democratic talking point. I understand where they are coming from. I am in support of everything progressive, of trans issues, of LGBTQ issues in general, of any type of social issues. But I'm also in favor of economic issues. And the problem is a lot of these things are manipulated to make us feel bad to start vote blue no matter who at the end of the day, right? And then those same people, they never do shit to change these issues. They give you social crumbs, for fuck's sake. They give you social crumbs, and then you have to be happy and like, oh, if you don't vote for him, you got the other guy who's worse. I'm like, we need something that gives us everything that we want. I am tired of voting for 10% of my conscience versus 0% of my conscience. And now with this genocide ensuing, to me, they are the devil. I don't give a fuck what they represent, if they're going to be okay with gay people. To me, it's just like they're bombing innocent people, as they've always done. And at this point, I'm like, I cannot vote for somebody like that. Yeah. We are communists. We are not Democrats. We are on your side. But we are truly on your side because we're trying to get actual policies implemented that would actually support you, support the African-American community, support the LGBTQ community, and any other disenfranchised minorities. That's what we stand for. And what we're saying is that is not the Democratic Party. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. You might be getting better rights for social rights here, but to get those social rights, we're now bombing other people in other countries. So to me, you don't give a fuck about other people in other countries. To me, I am a person of principle. It's like, if you break any of those principles, you're worthless to me. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You're not real. They're
no, I think that's well said.
They don't stand for anything.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that comes back to like people's. You mentioned illusion of like people's like perception of the Democratic Party is like, well, you have to vote for them because that's the lesser of two evils, right? Like, yeah, Biden may not be perfect, but Trump is worse, and it's like, well, they're actually, first of all, a lot more similar. I would say just as similar. So at that point, it doesn't matter. But also, you brought up principle, and like, yeah, it doesn't matter if like Biden's policies on paper are somewhat, very slightly not as awful, like not as blatantly awful as Trump's. Biden is continuing most of the Trump policies. Like, not a whole lot has changed in that arena.
The border is completely the same.
The border's the same. The kids in cages that everyone cared about when Trump was in office, nobody gives a shit about now, even though they're still there.
They're still there.
But again, he's funding and supplying and supporting a genocide. And so, like, there is no lesser of two evil when you're fucking talking about a literal genocide. But again, I'll stop ranting on that for a moment and just kind of switch topics to a slightly switch points of. You mentioned communism, like we are communists. Like, voting is not necessarily like a race issue or like a social issue one way or the other. It's about a class issue. Like, we see the world through the lens of classes and not necessarily like other dividing features. Like, essentially, capitalists have rigged it so we all are fighting each other based on all of these arbitrary things that, like, not to say that race is arbitrary, but like, to put black person against white person because, you know, a Mexican immigrant or a black person is going to come steal your job. Well, they're not the ones stealing your job. It's the capitalists that are giving it away, right? So, like, you should all join together to fight the capitalists. And so that's how we view elections, is not through race or whatever. It's a class issue. And Biden and Trump share the same feelings when it comes to class issue. They are both capitalists.
Biden is closer to being a Nazi, a fascist. Let me put it that way, not a Nazi. Biden is closer to being a fascist than he will ever be to be a social democrat. If you really think about it, if you think about the
not even a socialist, like a social democrat.
A social democrat. Like, I mean, just look back into the 90s, the crime bill that he created. He sponsored multiple bills, including one that you're not allowed to declare bankruptcy on your student loan. The only loan you're not allowed to declare bankruptcy on, which again is a class issue. But you can, if you're a capitalist, declare bankruptcy like they did in 2008 on their company going bankrupt. And then the government comes in and bails you out, but they never come in and bail you out as a citizen. So there's the class issue that we're talking about. And that has to do that class issue also has to do with the racial issues, what has to do with social issues. Yep. Because at the end of the day, most people that are rich are white, right? Most people that are rich are European European descent. They're straight. They're even if it's slowly changing where there's more diverse up there. Again, it's still the laws that they are creating is still systemically racist, right? Because at the end of the day, we live in a system that is controlled by capital, hence capitalism. And so if they control the system, they're making the rules. And if the rules are systemically racist, the capitalists are racist. And that's what we are against as communists.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't, all in all, it wasn't very well thought out. This wasn't very planned. We had just talked about, hey, should we bring this up? I had one little, sentence wrote about this. Specifically, the sentence that I wrote about this in preparation for notes was, neither major party represents working class interest. Beyond that, Biden's a genocide supporter. There's no argument to have anymore. So miss me with that shit. I don't care anymore.
Don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah, Biden is a genocide supporter and a genocide funder. It's just I know I've said that every time.
Yeah.
Every time I've had the mic, I've just said that same thing over and over for the last 7 minutes or whatever, because that's really all there is to say. If you still after that support Biden, then you can go fuck yourself. You are supporting someone who supports a genocide. 100%. You are one step removed from a genocider. So get fucked.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And again, at the end of the day, we are all about classism, right? Yep. Oh, not classism.
Classism.
We're all about identifying that classism is the problem in society. And that's why we say it's not that, don't go and vote. We're saying it's not going to do anything. You're going to get social crumbs and you're going to be happy with that. And as communists, I don't know how many communists you know that have been happy with social crumbs. I mean, for Christ's sake, how many governments have we overthrown? We are revolutionaries. We don't believe in incrementalism. We believe in mass change. We have a problem here. We want to change it. We're not going to settle for anything less than the actual solution.
You see a problem, you fix it.
Exactly.
If they won't allow you to fix it, then you take them out. Or you take it over. Or whatever the case may be. If it's a government, it gets overthrown. That's kind of the long and short of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to beg for crumbs. And also there's another point here, which is Democrats are always don't matter who you vote for, just vote. Voting is the most important institution that we have. You can't then tell me who to vote for if that's their thing. It's it's not like I'm not going to vote. Sometimes I don't. Most times I do, and I'm going to vote for De La Cruz and Garcia. Karina Garcia and Claudia De La Cruz, the PSL candidates, they're both communists, or at least socialists. That's who I'm voting for. If you have a problem with that, then you vote for who you want. You can't say voting's a personal choice. Vote, just
that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of a democracy.
Yeah,
we have our own collective thoughts, and we use that in a democratic poll, in a polling place where we submit our votes. And that is democracy. And if you don't like that, then I'm sorry to tell you, you're not really for democracy.
Yeah, you're kind of a fascist if that's your whole thing.
Yeah,
if you that was the whole mask off kind of point of this is taking any challengers off the ballots, aggressively going after anyone who doesn't support your one party candidate. It's what the fuck are you talking about democracy if that's your whole game plan is just to get this one supreme leader in office, Biden. So reevaluate yourself before coming after me, bro. And that's all I had to say about that.
I just hate that they had to include it's easy for you to say that when you're white.
Yeah. First of all, he's not even that white.
Well, my skin color is white. I am white. I am white passing. Yes, 100%. I am white. Fuck it. Yeah, but you have to what other character? Race is not the only characteristic that is part of your identity in society. It's one, I'm a communist. Good God, right? That two, if anybody knew that here in a general sense, like the general population, it's easing up now. But
Yeah.
if you're like, if I told some old grandfathers, like some 6-year-old Joe, hey, I'm communist, he'd be like, why are you in prison?
Yeah.
Right? So first of all, my people get in prison.
It
Second
is.
of
In
all,
Arizona, it's still a state law.
It's
It's
illegal.
illegal to be a communist
It's
and work
illegal to be a
for any like
communist.
state job. Like you can't be a fucking janitor for the parks department or whatever and be a communist. It's
Yeah.
like that's all still on the books as a state law in Arizona.
yeah. And then
So-
two, I'm a Muslim. Like I was Muslim. I was literally born in a city that was under siege for 3 years with no electricity, food, or water. And my dad was literally like fighting for his life, you know? And so it's just like, you don't know that about me. You just assume something based off the color of my skin, which is inherently racist at the end
Well,
of the day.
I wouldn't go that far because I don't think you can be racist against white people, right? Like there's because
Systemically, you can't, right? White people have all the privilege.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you use the same thing that you're using for white people, and I'm not supporting white people. White people are fucking garbage. Look what we did to the
worst.
fucking. Look what we did to the world. That's what I'm saying. So use your same type of thinking
Yeah,
that
put your
you're
thinking
using,
cap on.
and
Yeah.
then use that, and don't be like, okay, what if I said this to that person? You know, so like you can't judge me because I'm white. Like, what else am I? What else is there? You know, I'm an immigrant. I'm a Muslim. I'm a communist. So it's like those things are major factors. They're just not physical factors that you can see. So I'm a minority at heart by blood, and I'm also a minority by thought because what I believe in is not what the mass majority believe in here.
Yeah.
I'm against the system, the same system that you're saying I'm, allowing to push forward because I don't want to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe in that, dude.
Yeah, it's just insane. I'm just so tired of seeing those comments or seeing that.
Every
I mean, it's
fucking
not
video.
just on like social media. It's like in real life too. You know, you just go like,
Yeah.
well, we don't like him, but we got to vote for him. It's like, no, you don't actually. You have a choice. You can just not if you want.
That's the point.
And yeah, it's like we've now reached a point where half of all Americans can't afford their rent or can't afford an apartment, or like homelessness is all the time high, food prices, gas prices. It's not like things are better under Biden. So like again, miss me with that like, well, it'll be worse under Trump. Will it? It'll be the same under Trump. You just don't like him personally. So like
It's gonna be the same.
it's the same under Trump. You just don't like Trump, so you're painting it as like, well, it'll be better under Biden. It's not. It's gonna get worse under both. We are on a downward trajectory, regardless of which color tie you wear in the White House. We're on a downward trajectory. Also, not for nothing, but come at me with that white like bullshit. Fine, then you can't not say ACAB or not say defund the police, right? Because all these blue no matter who people are like, well, we don't want to like, the whole defund the police was like too far, right? We didn't want to like scare away people. Maybe we'd reform the police, not defund the police. And it's like, well, if you actually cared about like race issues, then like look at the police. Look at again, like Palestinian bombings. Like you don't care about people of color. You don't actually care about race. You just care about shaming people into not voting for Biden. So, fuck off.
And politically, that's not progressive because you're like, we're not actually getting anywhere with that.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole point to this is just like, we are physically trying to do things that will systematically change the entire world at the end of the day, not just American government, but if you change American government, you will inherently change the world. And that's what we're trying to do. And instead of being on our side and be like, yeah, hell yeah, brother, you turn around and you're like, wait,
You didn't vote for Biden.
gotta vote for Biden.
Yeah, and also not for nothing. Again, I think I've said not for nothing already, but not for nothing times two. The people making those comments, I sure as fuck doubt that they're out there actually like helping with mutual aid work or like protesting or doing anything that's like doing any actual value for anyone. Period. Like I've said for years that like a single day helping homeless or feeding homeless is worth more than one vote. You could like worth more than a vote for a president for 4 years, right? One volunteer day, go out, work one shift at a homeless kitchen or a food kitchen. That's worth more than a vote ever will. And the people that are throwing all the shade about who we vote for don't lift a finger to actually help their community. So like, again, you come at me when and this is a generalization, maybe they do, maybe they volunteer at a soup kitchen once a week, but probably not. So, because people think that's where it stops, right? That's it. That is the peak of civic engagement is to vote. You can do nothing for your better. You can do no better help for your man than vote, right? Like there's like our fellow man. The best we can do, the most noble thing we can do to save this planet is to vote for Joe Biden. And it's like, I got some bad news for you, man. If you think that's true, that actually isn't going to save the planet. That won't stop climate change. That won't save the next homeless person in your neighborhood from freezing to death this winter. Like getting out and donating stuff and helping with food and like like going on a distribution run for blankets and socks. That's what you should be doing, not shaming us on the internet.
At the end of the day, it's like we're trying to help people. Like we're going out there. It's like, hey, what's more important, like that one vote or this houseless guy doesn't have a meal to eat tonight. He's literally gonna be hungry all night and his stomach is gonna hurt and he's sad thoughts and somebody brings him a meal. You've helped that person out and making sure they have food in their stomach, or trying to push a program that'll help people get off the streets. Yeah. You're actually making a difference. You voted for Biden, and what happened? Now he's bombing people.
Yeah, I don't know. This is I guess a spoiler, but one of our CP comrades in Communist Party, I was told by somebody recently that I should stop calling it CP in my head because that stands for something different on the internet. But I don't know.
Oh yes.
So CPUSA comrades. I'm old,
Sapusa.
and I didn't make that fucking connection because I'm just like, yeah, it's the Communist Party.
I don't
CP.
think about that.
I don't think about that type of shit because that shit isn't on my mind. You fucking sickos.
No, I
but
didn't
anyway,
realize it.
I didn't either.
Now.
I've said CP for years. Doesn't matter. Now I can't say it without thinking it.
Oh my god! Imagine how many people you told. It's like, oh, what do you do? What party are you in? I'm in the CP party.
I'm in the CP party. Yeah. So anyway, one of our comrades in the CP USA in Seattle is starting a new initiative, and I don't know how much I should say about this, but I think it's fine because I don't think there's any reason why it would be a mystery. He's starting like a battery distribution, but like a citywide battery distribution because batteries are important for lights, for heating, for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
For a homeless person, batteries and propane go a lot farther than you think they might. Food, blankets, all that's nice, but like the most requested items I see when I'm out there is batteries and propane. And coincidentally, they're also kind of the more expensive ones, which is hard for all of us that just like, we don't get federal grants or whatever. We're just two dudes in a basement. This is like my paycheck went to like the groceries for the part of my paycheck went to part of the grocery bill for the last food run I did for when I volunteered. So it's all just self-paid. And so he wants to call it, I don't know, this is maybe a little bit of a spoiler. He wants to call it power to the people. And it's just going to be because batteries. Yeah. So he's starting like this citywide Seattle battery distribution that's going to kind of connect. And so like, that's something that this guy just had the idea for last week and is now just doing. It's just a guy in Seattle, and it's just like, this is something that this is a need that I guarantee you, once that gets off the ground, that will materially help more people than voting for Joe Biden ever will. Or
1,000 votes for Joe Biden.
Or just like 4 more years of Biden's presidency. I guarantee you, like the 500 or so houseless people in Seattle, that helps, assuming we give out batteries to 500 people over the next 4 years, which is probably lowballing it, but let's say 500. You think Biden's policies are going to help, like on balance, right?
Oh, they're not.
They're going to harm or help. You think he'll be plus 500?
They're not going to do shit.
Versus how many lives are going to be lost in Yemen and Palestine versus how many Americans are going to see a material benefit from Biden's presidency.
This is how I try to explain it to people. It's like when you're going for like Republican versus Democrat, I try to explain in very simple terminology. And this is basically what's happening now. Here's a Republican plane. It's got an American flag. Oh, there goes bombs. There goes 30 children. Oh, here's the Democrat plane. It's got the LGBTQ flag. Yeah, supposedly now, oh, wow, look at that progressiveness. And there goes 35 children.
Yeah, there's that popular meme of like it's what I don't know, it's a vaguely Middle Eastern people running from like a drone strike, and it's like the captions reads, I hear the next one will be piloted. I hear the next drone will be piloted by a woman, or I hear the next drone will be piloted by a gay man. And it's like, that's progress. That really makes you proud, right?
It's just like imperial social issues is like first world problems,
and that's what a vote for Biden gets you. It's like it's that faux progressivism, that faux social progress. It's like, the next Predator drone will have a BLM sticker on it, but that doesn't actually matter. And I know that's a very tired and kind of old meme, but it's still true.
It's that's the illusion that I was talking about. Yeah. It's like there is no progressivism in that. The real progressivism is changing the system that is systematically racist.
Actual progress.
Yes,
the word.
And
progress.
Just like, hey man, exactly. It's just like if this everybody understands that the system of America is racist. Mm-hmm. Maybe people no doubt. Maybe certain Congress members, most Congress members are not racist, right? But
most is a strong word.
I am giving them benefit of doubt, but the system is racist. So what we're trying to do is change the system, the entire system. Like
And
not just the entire system must go, right?
Yeah.
That is real social work.
And I know that sounds like a Rage Against the Machine song or something you'd write on your notebook when you're an edgy ninth grader or whatever. But like it is like get past that like that way of thinking and like just recognize that this battery distribution thing or just like these networks that we're setting up to help unhouse people. It's like it's real. It's actually a thing that you can do. It's not like some fantasy of like changing the system. It's like, yeah, that's what it looks like is like these. And I know that sounds like incremental changes, but like it's because there's like fucking 12 of us in a city of 800,000, right? Like, and I don't mean there's actually 12. I just mean like it's a drop in the bucket. We need more of you, and that's why we say at the end of every episode, join your CPAs USA. Go get involved in a mutual aid group. These are the things that actually help your community. Not voting.
Well, you're saying that's just a drop in the bucket. Those batteries, that propane, might make that houseless person survive that night.
Oh no, I'm not saying that that the aid itself is a drop in the bucket. No, that's huge. Like we hit tons of people. We give out 60, 120 meals a weekend every weekend for years. So it's like like
and that's what I'm saying is like that is like when we're thinking systematically. Okay, we're not changing things on a huge system level, but what we are allowing is like. That whole person's life.
Yeah, I just meant like membership in the people who the volunteers for these organizations. Yeah. The percentage of the people who volunteer in these organizations compared to like the percentage, the population of America, or of those who vote or whatever. It's like it's a fraction of a percent. And I want to make it clear, I haven't. It sounded like I was like running this org for years. I've just recently started volunteering with this org, and over the past like couple weeks, and I worked with them a little over the summer last year or whatever. But like I've worked with a handful of mutual aid orgs over the last 6 months of being in Seattle since moving to Seattle, and I'm just so incredibly proud of like what little I have done, and I'm just excited to keep doing. And so that's why we really champion getting out there and like just making a difference, giving somebody some batteries, giving somebody propane, giving somebody a hot lunch on a cold afternoon. It's so nice, and it just helps your community actually materially so much.
Yeah, this is beautiful political activism, and that's what it's all about. So get out there, join CPUSA. Not CP. Join PSL. Join the DSA if you don't have anybody else.
They do.
They still do great stuff.
Yeah, they do. They're really good at organizing kind of mass org stuff, right? So they're not very specific and they're not very like targeted, but they do some pretty good mass org stuff. They, like we've said a couple times, they were really behind like the whole stopping the boat, heading for munitions that was leaving out of the port of Seattle on its way to Israel, right?
Yeah.
The DSA organized in large part a lot of that protest to block those ships from leaving port, and so like sure, fuck them, that's great.
Hey, I don't
not
like
fuck them, fuck it, that's great.
Like we don't hate the DSA.
Yeah.
We just don't think it's strong. It's enough.
Yeah, that's
right?
That's kind of back to incrementalism. It's just not enough, but it is something which is better than voting.
But here's the thing: is like that what they do and services that they provide and the organization that they can achieve.
Because there are a ton of people.
There are a ton
of people. They're a very big organization.
It's more than incremental. It's a little. It's like one step. It's between revolutionary and incremental.
Yeah, and if you're like turned off by communism, then join the DSA. Sure,
yeah,
like
man.
if you go down that path, we'll wait for you. We'll see you eventually. You'll get there eventually. You'll read a couple books, you'll realize that they're not quite radical enough to actually see real change happen, but you'll see that. But also just like even like smaller like anarchist groups, like there's collectives, there's Food Not Bombs, which is in like most major cities. There's small anarchist collectives just giving out like in like very small pocketed neighborhoods that are giving out food and batteries and propane.
Find any co-op. You'll find something.
Just do I don't know. We sound like broken records, but like we say this every time. But this is what actually matters, not voting, not voting blue, no matter who. So I don't know. I think we've said what we got to say. I'm ready to be done. If you're good.
Yeah.
We kind of gave all of our closing spiel anyway. Go join these orgs. Go get involved. Join CPUSA.
Oh God.
Yeah. And follow
Can't wait
us.
to see these comments.
Yeah. We should cut this up and really make some spicy takes.
God.
Like just like yelling "fuck you" for voting for Biden, just out of context, just that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's actually still in context. Fuck you for voting for Biden, and or out of context.
Oh God.
Fuck you for voting for Trump too. So it's not like because we get that a lot too. It's like, oh, you must support Trump. It's like, God, am I tired of that argument too?
Bro, if Trump had a heart attack and died right now, I would throw a party.
Oh, we'd have a breaking special edition.
We'd have yeah. I'd get drunk on stream, dude. We'd have a great time.
Yeah. So anyway, follow us on all of our socials.
Subscribe, please. If you're watching us all the time and you're not subscribed, like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, like one of our YouTube shorts had like thousands of views.
Sometimes
if you're watching this on a short. Well, you wouldn't be watching this on a short. That'd be very boring short. But subscribe.
It's not a short as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I mean, like, let's cut just us to asking for subscriptions and put it out as a short.
Yeah.
That wouldn't really work. But subscribe. Yeah, if you're watching the YouTube channel, subscribe.
Fuck it, why not? That's
yeah.
revolutionary. I've
Sure,
never seen
that's-
anybody do
yeah,
that. We'll just do
that's
that.
a bold take. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube.
Should we open a Threads? I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I scroll Instagram and there's like the little like ad for Threads and it'll be like a
Yeah.
little blurb and I'll click it and then it'll open Threads and I'll scroll Threads for a minute and then I'll be like, okay, because I'm not on Twitter and I don't.
I'll do Twitter. You do Threads.
Okay, fine. I was just gonna say I don't have that like type of scrolling in me of like
Yeah.
Threadsy style, but I can get into it, man.
Here's
Sure.
the thing. I've never been on Threads.
Here's
so
the
it's like
thing.
Twitter, right?
Yeah, it's identical to Twitter, but here's the problem though. Once you open Threads on an Instagram account, so like if we like
It'd be get it permanent.
it's permanent, you can't unlink it from your Instagram. You have to delete your Instagram if you want to delete Threads.
Yeah. Yeah. No, just open it on.
Sure,
Fuck it.
I'll open it. I'll just start talking shit because I know like the Turn Leftist guys are on there a lot.
I
Yeah.
retweet stuff. I talk shit all the time on our Twitter.
Yeah, I should just start talking shit on because, like, not for nothing, but most of my Threads feed is just like pro-Israel shit because I think the algorithm,
Yeah.
it does the same thing Twitter does, which is very like it wants to generate controversy and generate conversations.
Yeah.
So it like takes who you follow and just gives you the opposite opinions. And I'm like, well, that's manipulative and shitty of a company, but it also allows me to like just fucking the meme of like just the guy who's losing his hands in his head. I can do that. I can talk shit. I can shit post with the best
Keyboard
of them.
warrior. There we go.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go run an errand. So
That sounds good, guys.
you good?
Yeah,
Anything
I'm
else you
good.
wanted to add?
Follow the Twitter.
Follow
us
Oh
on
yeah,
Twitter.
we didn't actually say
I'm-
it's Revolutionary Rhetoric Podcast everywhere. ReVRhetoricPod on Twitter and email us revolutionaryrhetoric.
All of the stuff is
gmail.com.
going to be in the
Yeah.
description.
Just click the description.
just
What are we
click
even
the
saying this
description.
for?
I don't know. And just prepare yourself for the outro and the 2 videos popping up somewhere around here. I
Yeah.
don't know. Somewhere
Have
around
a
there.
great week, y'all. Enjoy your weekend.
And next, I know one thing I forgot to say. We're supposed to have a guest on this week. That's next week.
Yeah, that is next week.
Next week.
That one is unconfirmed, but the other one is confirmed. So I don't have a problem saying the other one that is confirmed, which is Mike from Turn Leftist has
Yeah.
agreed to come on and just have a chat with us. That'll be not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. So that episode will be out Sunday, the whatever.
Episode
It'll
18.
be episode 18 will be Mike from Turn Leftist, which we're very excited about. We were very appreciative of him coming out. I don't think it's a problem for us to say the name of the other person by now because I've had conversation with them and they've confirmed. Sally Hates Capitalism, the Instagram Sally Hates Capitalism.
She's
has
also on
agreed-
Twitter and YouTube. And
Twitter,
everything
you
as well.
TikTok, big leftist kind of poster, very, very vocal in the Palestine space.
Yes.
Mike Turn Leftist, the Turn Leftist kind of overall network, for lack of a better term, very generalized, like leftist kind of tanky posting. Sally Hates Capitalism has been general in the past, but has recently kind of really targeted in on
She's been. But
Palestine.
she's also has a very closeness. to the
personal,
issue
yeah.
because
She is
she's
an
a
ethnic
Jewish.
Ashkenazi Jewish woman,
Yeah.
so she's very anti-Zionist.
She's very vocal. I love it.
Yeah,
We need her on.
Yeah, and she offers a really good point of like a very like close to this, like you mentioned, very close to this topic as like a deeply Jewish. I don't want to speak for her religion. A Jewish woman. I don't know how deep her religion is.
I was watching recently. She's atheist, but she is ethnically Jewish, so
Ethnically
that's
Jewish,
why
yeah.
it's very close to her. But anyways,
Yeah.
that hopefully we'll get her on next week.
Yeah.
We're in talks with her, and then
Yeah.
So next video you'll see. Hopefully it is
So
Sally.
Sally Scotland, and week one after that, you'll see Mike from Turn Leftist. So
Yeah,
we got a couple
some
good
stuff
weeks. We're
going
excited
on.
about.
And if you're watching this, send us an email if you want to come on.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't give a shit. Yeah, that was just I just messaged them on Instagram or on social media. I was like, hey, can we have this podcast? Do you want to do it? And they were both just like, yeah, sure, awesome, sounds good. And I was like, oh, that was way easier than I thought it was gonna be.
I just like, well, we're a small podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we have to offer in return? And it's
But
great.
that's the cool thing about communists is they don't. That's not what they're after. It's
Exactly.
Like I was like, like it's not a thing of like the conversation of well, what would be the fee or whatever. That's not even a conversation that would ever have
Exactly.
on this side of kind of the
That's the
political spectrum.
altruism. Is like they don't really
Yeah,
expect anything.
they want to have a good conversation, spread the word. So then
Exactly.
they're for it, and I just think that's just so cool. It goes back. I'm just so damn proud to be a communist.
Hell yeah.
I just how people are proud to be an American. I get it now, but not in the way you think. I get it, and I'm so goddamn proud to be a communist.
Sprt fascismu, sloboda narodu.
I don't know what that means.
Death to fascism, freedom to the people.
What language was that?
That is Serbo-Croatian.
Serbo-Croatian. You heard it
Yes.
here first.
Yeah.
Probably not first. Probably since the 40s. I would imagine since the 40s, but
Got that flag behind us.
yeah,
Yugoslavia,
we put
baby.
the Yugoslavia flag behind our boy Kenan. Cool.
All right, guys, we've been rambling on for too
God
long.
damn, yeah.
I will see you guys next week. We will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Take it easy, guys.
Eat well.
Bye-bye.